Yet though, huh? We're waiting for one more councillor to join us, and Councillor Story yet to join us, but he is here in the building. So we'll just wait for another minute. And Councillor Burson is also here in the building. Story, for the record, is now joining us, and Councillor Burson the parameters of the building. Is now online. Story, did you see where Councillor Burson got to? 2 minutes. All right, we'll make a start then. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's council meeting. I wish to acknowledge the Wadawurrung people and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are part of our Geelong community and who have joined us today either in person or online. And also it's fitting to mention that today is National Sorry Day, which then will run into Reconciliation Week, and the City of Greater Geelong has a number of activities that we're going to be involved in to enable us to reflect and honour the strength and resilience of survivors and their families, and then focus on all the great things that we can do together as far as future reconciliation programs as part of the National Reconciliation Week. And one thing I do mention is that we have a projection as we speak onto the front of the town hall, and that commenced last night, and that will run until the 3rd of June. So we're very keen to go have a look at that as councillors after the meeting tonight, and welcome anyone who's in the building to join us likewise. So we'll now move to question time. Would that be right?
Apologies.
Apologies. Oh, that's right. There's a leave of absence. Councillor Eddie Contell is not with us tonight. He's leave of absence. And we also have a request for one leave of absence from Councillor Wilkinson for the period 1st of July to the 25th of July inclusive. So have a councillor move that. Councillor Sinclair and Councillor Story move that. All those in favour? So that's carried unanimously. Declarations of conflict of interest. Any conflicts of interest tonight? It shows that there are no conflicts of interest at this point. We then move to question time, and we have 7 submitted the minutes of the last meeting held on 28th of April, my apology. If we can have someone move that those minutes of the 28th of April be accepted. So Councillor Nelson and Councillor Katos, all those in favour? So that's all carried unanimously. Now we'll move to question time. Very keen to get to these questions. So the first one is from Christopher Edge in relation to Lipson Drive. If Christopher is here. So we'll move on then to Trish Gant, and just for the record, everyone has 3 minutes to address the council. We will try to provide answers as best we can tonight, and then also written responses, and we'll put those responses onto our website after this evening. So, Trish.
I've been sitting at Little Mallup Street. I live in the city. You all probably know me. I live in the city, and I've been sitting in Little Mallup Street with our Batman group, and I've literally just flown in this afternoon from and I sold our business in North Geelong last week and I needed a break, so I went to Noosa, which is, as you do, 1 week in Noosa. And looking around Noosa, I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. It's well lit up, there's fairy lights, it's incredible. The whole place looks amazing. And then as I was driving home from the airport, my sister rang me from Wagga. And Wagga, recently, I sat there having a coffee with her in the Wagga Main Street. It's one of the largest main streets in Australia, I think. I think it's the longest. Don't quote me on that. But it looked so clean and the pavers were great and everything looked amazing. And all the shops were full. And I thought, wow, how does that happen in a place like Wagga Wagga? But my point today is I get back to Geelong and I race down to Moorabool Street to see what's happening, and I've seen a lot of the, the things in the Addy, and I'm just a bit sad. I'm a bit sad. My husband, who has passed not so long ago, said to me, when you're cooking, clean up your kitchen first. We run a machinery business in North Geelong. And he said to me, when my guys are working in the factory, they have to clean up the factory first. So my point is, it's not a criticism, it's just like, what are you doing? We need to clean up the city first before we can start decorating. I'm an interior decorator. We need to clean up first. So question 1 is Moorabool Street currently presents as a degraded, asphalt-dominated transport zone in the heart of Geelong CBD. The road surface is heavily worn, patched and visually inconsistent due to constant heavy bus traffic, creating an environment that is uninviting for pedestrians, and I fell recently, and entirely out of character with a modern city centre. My question is, why is council spending money on an art installation, and I love it, including one large expensive work in the middle of the road and pulling up sections of the existing roadway before addressing the fundamental condition of the area itself, particularly when there has been little meaningful consultation with surrounding businesses, or, as I said, I live here, I didn't know this was happening. Wouldn't a more responsible priority be to first clean up and repair the CBD properly? Geelong currently has raised and damaged pathways, filthy laneways, widespread graffiti, inadequate public toilets, inefficient small public rubbish bins and overflowing commercial bins. The Moorabool Street bus interchange itself and shelters are damaged, visually unattractive and no longer suitable as the centrepiece of our CBD. Shouldn't council first focus on relocating and removing the interchange and the bus shelters and restoring Moorabool Street properly before investing in decorative treatments? That's it.
So, thank you, Trish. I'll hand that. Now, Jackie, will you be initially taking this one? Yes, so Executive Director Jackie Randalls to deal with this one, Growth in Place.
Thanks very much. Nice to see you here. Welcome back from Noosa. As you know, Moorabool Street is a significant street in central Geelong that is needing investment to improve the street experience and safety for pedestrians. These works will enhance the street environment, including upgraded lighting for night safety, renewal of the median strip and supporting electrical infrastructure. The inclusion of artwork and lighting is part of an integrated approach to improve amenity. Current data shows the road surface is within service limits and will continue to be maintained accordingly. The city will continue its routine servicing, including graffiti and waste management. The bus interchange and services are managed by the state government. Through the Geelong Bus Review, the city has recommended investigation of alternative locations. Any relocation would be a longer-term outcome, so current work focus on short-term improvements for Moorabool Street that can be achieved within the existing bus stop in place is what we're trying to do at the moment.
Now, your second question, Trish?
Over the last 5 years, I've raised a number of issues during question time. In many cases, the responses have been brief, no offence, but that was fairly brief, dismissive, or there has been little visible follow-up afterwards. I have also attended meetings where members of the public asking questions appeared to be met with eye-rolling, sniggering, or dismissive behaviour from councillors, which I believe is inappropriate in a public forum and discourages community participation. My concern is that residents take the time to prepare and raise serious issues affecting the community, and yet there appears to be no structured process for follow-up, feedback, or ongoing communication about whether these concerns will ever be considered further. Relating to my unisex toilets, where it's 15 out of 15 are unisex, nothing further I ever hear. So my question is, going forward, can council explain why there is often no meaningful follow-up or feedback provided to the public after serious concerns are raised during question time? And what steps will council take to improve accountability, communication, and the way members of the public are treated when participating in council meetings? No offence, because I like what you're doing. No offence, I just would like more. I want more.
Thank you. What I'll do is I'll hand to Troy Edwards, Executive Director for Corporate Services.
Thanks for your question, Trish. Public question time is provided as an opportunity for members of the community to ask questions of council. The process is governed by our governance rules, which outline how the questions are submitted, considered and responding to, and allowing time for officers to prepare responses. It's important to note that this forum is designed specifically for the asking and answering of questions rather than as a mechanism for managing ongoing matters or complaints. Council does have established processes for follow-up, particularly around complaints and broader community engagement, which provide more appropriate avenues where detailed investigation, ongoing communication or formal feedback is required. If you feel that any of your previously submitted questions have not been adequately addressed, officers will be happy to contact you to discuss these further. Where possible, questions are answered at the meeting. In some instances where additional information is required or the matter is operational in nature, it may be referred to the relevant area for follow-up. While not all matters raised through public question time result in ongoing communication, officers do consider the issues raised and, where appropriate, use this information to inform service delivery. Council is committed to respectful and constructive engagement with the community. Council acknowledges the importance of transparency and community confidence in our processes. We will continue to reinforce good practice in providing clear responses and direct community members to the most appropriate channels to ensure their matter is considered properly.
Thanks, Trish.
Thanks.
Is that okay? Trish, just to your, because one of your questions was actually acknowledging councillor behaviour rather than the follow-up of questions, and so I just wanted to speak to that just very quickly. If that has been your observation, your experience, then it's incredibly disappointing, and the eye rolling and the distraction isn't good enough. So just in terms of councillor behaviour, and we are very committed to respectful communication, and so thank you for providing that feedback, and we'll keep that in mind and watch going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Wilkinson. So Anne Daniel, in relation to differential rates for retirement villages.
Mayor and councillors, my name is Anne Daniel and I reside at Geelong Grove Retirement Village. In recent times, my village has made a submission with 145 signatures attached to the Geelong City Council for consideration of differential rates for retirement villages. You should be aware several other retirement villages have also petitioned the council regarding the same subject. You should also be aware that a number of people attended your last meeting to present submissions to council, and council has responded to these various applications, letters, petitions and personal presentations with a generic letter. It has come to my attention that this generic letter has been sent to each and every entity with different dates, for example, the 13th, the 20th, the 30th of April, the 7th of May, and with different signatories, for example, Jennifer Blunt and Troy Edwards. My question is, has council given any serious consideration to our submissions?
Thank you for the question. I'll refer that to Executive Director for Corporate Services, Troy Edwards.
Mayor, and thanks for your question, Mrs Daniel. So, over recent months, as Council has been preparing its budget, we have received both direct correspondence and the petitions regarding differential rates from both retirement villages and residents of retirement villages, including Geelong Grove. The Council will continue to consider all relevant information, including community feedback and these submissions, as part of its decision-making prior to the June Council meeting. At the June Council meeting on the 23rd of June, the 2026-27 budget will be presented for consideration and adoption by Council, and that will include Council's rating and revenue strategy, which will address questions of differential rates.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Julie Gardner is the next submitter. If Julie is here in relation to planning and environmental impacts. Julie Gardner? No? Stephen Williams in relation to the Bellarine Rail Trail.
Good evening, councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. I'm a member of the Better Streets Geelong. We're an Australia-wide coalition of community members and organisations who, oddly enough, want to make our streets better. In this, we consider ourselves to be closely aligned with the council's interests. We aspire to a thriving Geelong, a safe, healthy and diverse community that celebrates its natural environment and knows how to have fun. To that point, can I congratulate you on the Plan for Nature? I think this is an excellent piece of work. It's an outstanding piece of work from some outstanding council employees, and I do hope that it will. Let me say, what did I? I do hope that it would be then a template for every single decision that passes through this council in future. Additionally, I've also read through the Community Health and Wellbeing Strategy, another excellent piece of work by some outstanding councillors, and the group that I represent is very closely aligned with goal number 3. If these were to be the lens through which council decisions were made, then that's certainly the place that I'd want to be living in. We congratulate the council on installing an elevated priority crossing of the Bellarine Rail Trail at Wilson's Road. Anecdotal feedback from walkers and cyclists is that it has led to demonstrable change in driver behaviour and a significantly safer experience for all active transport users. Building on this, we would urge the council to install similar crossings on other intersections along the rail trail. This would provide an opportunity for the Bellarine Rail Trail to complement the broader and excellent Kids Active Travel program that has been running with schools in the Bellarine, again with excellent results, and now we are delighted to see that will be continued in the Northern Bay area, desperately needed area for active transport, amongst many other things as well. This, we believe, has provided a model for making our city safer, healthier, and more connected with the natural environment. Secondly, we urge the council to undertake a program of planting endemic flora along the full length of the Bellarine Rail Trail, creating a natural corridor that would be beautiful, a haven for endemic wildlife, an encouragement for healthy activity, and a place for the community to enjoy, and a pathway that would attract tourists, similar to the success of riding and walking trails in the Warburton region. We will also present options for local entrepreneurs to establish small businesses of all descriptions. Thirdly, we urge the council to consider a Bellarine Rail Trail Festival, possibly coordinated with the Geelong Show, which would celebrate this wonderful community asset. In our belief, this embodies the global definition of sustainable development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs.
Stephen, I'll refer that to the Executive Director for City Infrastructure, James Sturton.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Stephen, for your questions and the feedback. We acknowledge and appreciate that, especially regarding the elevated priority crossing at Wilson's Road, which was delivered with support from the Department of Transport and Planning's Black Spot program. Early observations and anecdotal evidence have indicated that we're seeing improved driver behaviour and enhanced safety for pedestrians and cyclists, which is supporting Council's commitment to active transport and safer road environments. Requests for similar treatments along the Bellarine Rail Trail are assessed through the City's Capital Project Prioritisation Framework, which ensures that the limited funding we do have is directed to projects that deliver the greatest safety, connectivity and community benefit. At present, we don't have any additional rail trail crossing locations on our project register. However, Council is willing to work with the community to identify and assess additional opportunities. The City also operates within constrained budgets and actively pursues external grant funding for projects of this nature, with community advocacy playing an important role. The City welcomes input from community groups on specific sites for assessment, and requests can be submitted by contacting us, where a traffic engineer will review locations and inclusion in future planning and prioritisation. The City has also undertaken significant planning programs to beautify and strengthen the wildlife corridor since the Urban Forest Strategy. The current draft Urban Forest Strategy is reviewing and mapping sites, which includes the Bellarine Rail Trail, for inclusion in partnered planting programs. This work will mature once the Urban Forest Strategy has been adopted and will identify the gaps that require planting to create a contiguous wildlife corridor. I also want to thank you for your feedback on the draft plan for nature. I'll pass on your feedback. The Natural Assets team will be thrilled with that, so thank you.
Stephen. Next question is Claire Shaw. If Claire is here. No. No. And finally, Mark Carper. Global Investment and the Arts.
First off, I'll apologize for my unusual technology demonstration that I'm going to do.
The Bluetooth device is ready to pair. Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
So, you guys, it's interesting she brought up the bus stop, because the location of the bus stop isn't a problem. Your buses are going to go to a central location. It's a great spot to have them. The problem is that you're not engaging the kids there, and the kids are going up and down the streets tormenting the homeless people that are there. So we need to do something to get the kids engaged in the community in a way that it doesn't cost them money, right? So you figure the other aspect of engaging the kids is you guys have the right idea in using the arts to do it, right? That's perfect, you know? So you figure dancing, music are all part of. And so my demonstration here is just going to be
from the bay to the river, this place just works. Jello! Footsteps echo on the pier, laughing in the sun. Every corner feels alive, like the day just begun. Feels like home. Feel good. Hey, upbeat. Oh, yeah. Step out, fresh air, right here. We there. I love Jello. Jello singing loud. From the streets to the park, standing proud. By one river rolling through, clear and strong. There's no place like home. this one hits different. The sidewalk, sunshine, good people, good time, no rush, just like this place got killed. I love Geelong, Geelong, feel the sound where the cats meet the blue all around. From the bay to the streets we walk along, every heartbeat says, I love Geelong. It's not just the places, it's the people, the ones who smile, the ones who show up. That's what makes a city feel like home. Geelong, 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 follow the river, winding through, steady and free. Kids in the park just being what they be. Every street got a story to tell. Everything's so small, and I'm proud to say this is where I belong. Geelong, stand tall, hey, good life, got all home base. Hey, this town knows roots. Geelong, Geelong, hear the cheer. Every day feels right, right here. From the river wide to
Thank you. Now, just to finish up, that's one of several songs that I've already made for the city of Geelong. Like I said, I have a radio station that all you have to do is scan a QR code and you can log on to the station anywhere in the world. So the idea is that we're going to be promoting Geelong as a city through a musical for the entire world. And so you figure.
Excellent. And we'll pass on your details also to the Youth Council, because they're organising a fair that I know of, and I think they'd love for you to be part of that, to create, because I was talking to them over the weekend and they want music to be part of their fair in September, so we will pass on your details. I think you'll add some real colour and excitement for that day. Beautiful. Yeah.
I've done a song from Malice Street.
Yeah, get that going, Trish. Get that going. All right, thank you, Mark. That was excellent. Really looking forward to next month as well. Never know, it could be each month. Yeah. All right, that is the end of all the submitted questions. Are there any other questions anyone has? Notice. If not, we will move on. Petitions and joint letters. Are there any petitions tonight? No. Petitions. All right. So we move to the Section 2 reports. Is that right, Alana? And the first item we have is community engagement policy. So Councillor Sinclair moves, and a seconder, Councillor Wilkinson. So Councillor Sinclair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I feel, in my view, that this is one of the most important policies we have at the city, because it outlines how we engage formally with the community. We are obliged to do this under the Local Government Act, and I think sometimes that creates a perception of burden. But really, I think this is an opportunity and should be viewed as an opportunity to really improve all of the policies that we have at the city. True community engagement sometimes requires relinquishing some control, so sometimes that might make us a little bit hesitant. But when it's done properly, it's a wonderful opportunity to define conflict and work together with different views to resolve and get a better outcome for everyone. It's innovative and it develops policy and systems that genuinely meet the needs of our community and the different needs of our community. It provides an opportunity for diversity and different voices to come to the table as well. We're not the most diverse council, and it's not a reflection on any of the individuals at the table, but it is a reality that we don't necessarily reflect the diversity of our wonderful Geelong community. So being able to have a policy that guides how we connect into different members of our community, different demographics, is really important that we do it in a structured way, and really important that we actually make effort to meet different members of the community that we might not normally hear from. So this policy sets out when we will engage, importantly when we won't engage as well. We don't engage on everything. Sometimes we can't make changes and we don't want to engage on those policies. It sets out how decisions are made. There's a lot of different places of influence. Some of those are operational, some of those happen at the council level. So it defines those decision-making processes, which is really important for transparency when you're asking someone to provide feedback and input. And I think we've heard some of the questions today. You want to understand how your input has been addressed and absorbed, and how that's influenced the policy outcomes. And I think that's, the really critical component of good, strong community engagement. It outlines our spectrum of engagement, from informing people all the way up to co-design and collaborative design. Each step along that spectrum is really important. It's really important to tell people decisions when they're simple decisions that are made, but it's also really important to collaborate and consult. And I would love it at some point to have a genuine, citizens' jury or really in-depth co-design process with our community on certain issues in the city. I'd love for us to find a project that we can really do that in-depth piece of work, that we throw the issue over to the community and accept their outcome and recommendations. We also have, not covered in this policy, but really important when we're talking about our community engagement, the commencement of all of our advisory groups over the last month. So the Women in Community Life, the LGBTI community group, the Access and Inclusion group, and we're soon to have the aged care advisory group as well. And so these are other important avenues to engage voices in our community. So I might leave it there for the moment. And hand over to Councillor Wilkinson.
Councillor Wilkinson.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Sinclair. And outlining the, we've actually done a lot of community engagement about our community engagement. So it's been a bit meta. This is really being discussed and explored broadly by the community, but also by councillors, by council officers, to really sort of look at the different ways and expansive ways of engaging, because the Have You Say page on a website is not going to engage everybody in our community. And it's really acknowledged that, there's a lot of people who would like to talk to somebody, and then they'd like to hear exactly how that information's landed and what can be done and what that next step is. So this is, as Councillor Sinclair says, this is one of the most important pieces of work that as a council we do. So that range and that importance of decision making and having that point of engagement in that is so important, because otherwise, there comes a small squeaky voice that gets louder and louder by sort of a few individuals, rather than the breadth of our community, of our beautiful, diverse community that we have here in Geelong. So this has taken a long time, and it's been out for public engagement, and here it is tonight. So I'd like to fully endorse the latest community engagement plan.
Thank you, Councillor Wilkinson. Any other councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Sinclair. Oh, sorry, Councillor Story.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to support the comments of my colleagues to the left, and particularly Councillor Wilkinson's desire expressed at some stage for an appropriate issue to have a full and deep community engagement in the form of a citizens' jury, which I know does work well. Those sorts of endeavours have to be carefully chosen, because they take a lot of resources, both human and financial, but I think that they are an excellent way to involve the broader community in important topics of interest. So I support the motion, Mr Mayor.
Story. Anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor Cadwell.
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. Look, I'm also really pleased with this current policy. I do believe that the city has genuinely shifted up a notch in terms of our approach, with this policy committing us to best practice in our community engagement. And it really recognises the feedback from the community, the councillors and the city staff, that it's fundamental to who we are and what we do as a council. I think it's an area in which we need to strive for constant improvement, so that we're meaningfully engaging, listening and using the feedback from our community. And by that I mean the good, the bad and the ugly, to make decisions about the policies and the plans, projects that are designed to benefit our local community in the City of Greater Geelong. I think we all know that a shared understanding helps us make more informed decisions. It leads to more transparent and widely supported decisions. And the policy itself says that even when views differ, if we've effectively engaged with the people that make those decisions, we have a clear understanding of the community's needs and aspirations and challenges. So I think that's a really important point. The really key aspects of this policy for me are the city's commitment to broader and more relevant means of engagement with our community, working to remove the barriers to participation, particularly from underrepresented groups, being really more proactive in our engagement, and then matching that level of engagement that's needed with the level of impact with the community. And so in practical terms, that policy means things like working with community organisations like our neighbourhood houses, our multicultural organisations and traditional owner corporations, to increase the participation and input from underrepresented groups. Importantly, really using plain language so that we're not using jargon, which means that the information is really clearly communicated and more likely to be easily understood, and also really engaging with different groups in different ways. So we're meeting people where they actually live and work and shop, and increasing the face-to-face opportunities. So I commend this policy. I think it's a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kedwell. Councillor Aiken.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Look, the community engagement policy is a requirement under the Local Government Act, and we've been on an evolution for quite a while now on improving engagement all the time. What's really fascinating now is the policy actually talks about how we're going to engage, but I think the community is actually ahead of us again, and we've heard that tonight as well too. So what the community is saying is they believe that the council is engaging with them, but the community's now moved further ahead of us in terms of a policy position because they're actually wanting meaningful engagement. What I'm hearing is that they actually want to know what influence they're actually making on decisions that are being made by officers and councillors. And so I suspect we're going to have to listen a lot more to where the community's at so we can better respond to them. And yes, it is good that the engagement policy is actually talking about improving the manner in which we engage, but I actually think the next phase of our evolution is about how we actually genuinely and meaningfully respond to that engagement, and how do we restore the community's confidence and trust and influence decisions that are being made on their behalf as councillors and also officers. So I look forward to this being put into practice, but I'm really encouraged that the community is starting to demand a lot more of us in terms of engagement isn't just engaging, it is about what we do with that information we receive from the community. Yeah.
Aiken. For you, Councillor Aiken. Anyone else? No. So, Councillor Sinclair.
Mr Mayor, would like to thank the officers, particularly Felicity and her team and Erin, for their work on this policy and coming back and quite clearly telling us what has changed in response to the engagement. So to Councillor Aiken's point, the team have come back every time we've gone out and detailed at great depths what specific elements of the policy had changed in response to the feedback. And I think there's good support around this table for that practice to continue. So yeah, thank you to the officers and really happy to put this policy on the table.
We put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The next item is the proposed sale of land at 11A Macquarie Court in Corio. Councillor Aitken moves and Councillor Burson is second. Councillor Aitken.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Look, this report actually says the sale of the property supports financial sustainability, which it does, but and in fact the Northern Suburbs is doing a fantastic job to help the financial sustainability of the City of Greater Geelong. Of the 7 properties we've sold this year, Mr. Mayor, 6 of them actually come from the Northern Suburbs. And if we add this property tonight and the neighbouring property, that means 9 of the properties that we potentially have sold this year have all come from the northern parts of Geelong. So I hope it's seen the amount of work that is actually occurring in terms of the community assets in the northern suburbs. But what I do want to talk about this particular site is it's not being sold because it's a surplus property asset. There's actually a really strong history about this site. Historically, these were public open space, and the school site was closed, and what was presented to us by previous administrations of the City of Greater Geelong is that we should look at consolidating the public open space and the opportunity for renewal in the Roseville community. And what was the commitment that was made to the community in Roseville was that if you allow the consolidation of this public open space, rezone it, allow renewal to occur in the Roseville location, the council committed to actually fund and build a very good Roseville Park. And that was the commitment that was given to myself and the former councillor, Councillor Bresbeck, associated with this site location. And the report touches on that very briefly, where it actually says the city has completed extensive engagement on the community's aspirations for Roseville Park. And Roseville Park is the area that is west of this land holding that we're proposing to sell. And what the intent is to use that public space to become a very good area for the community of Roseville and the new community that will move in to the consolidated land holdings of the state government's sold school site and these council open space areas as well too. So I hope we do not just focus that this is supporting financial sustainability, that we honour the commitments and the engagements that have been made with the Roseville community, and that is that we have sold off public open space that we rezoned so it could become residential property, but the commitment was that we would fund and support the development of Roseville Park. And I hope that commitment is honoured by the council going forward as well too, or we will have a lot of aggrieved community members who won't be happy that the public open space was sold just to create financial sustainability, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Aitken. Councillor Burson.
Yeah, nothing further to add.
All right. Any other councillor wishing to comment? No. Councillor Aitken to close.
Nothing further to add, Mr. Mayor.
So with that, we put it to the vote. All those in favour? So that's carried unanimously. The next item is the proposed carriageway easement at 43 to 45 Fenwick Street in Port Arlington. Have a mover. Councillor Story moves. Councillor Sullivan to second. Councillor Story.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This proposal relates to the request by the owner of 62 Newcomb Street for an easement through council-owned land immediately behind the property 62 Newcomb Street. The easement is planned to be through an extensive car park in the city-owned property from 43 to 45 Fenwick Street. Importantly to note that there was a significant period of public engagement from the 20th of March until the 19th of April, so 30 days and a significant engagement. There was 1 submission supporting the proposed easement and 5 submitters expressed concern that the easement would impact public access and use and car park availability within the easement area. Again, it's important, I think, to note that the City can confirm that there will be no loss of car spaces in the property 43 to 45 Fenwick Street or any changes to public access in the existing public car park. There have previously been easements granted to other properties in Newcombe Street, and also of importance, if this carriageway is supported, the City will receive payment for the interest in the land being acquired, which will be determined by market valuation. So in view of that careful assessment and the fact that there will be no loss of actual car park spaces or changes in public access, I recommend that this resolution be approved, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Story. Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As Councillor Story has summed up quite well, there's no loss of access, no loss of car parks, and it brings the area or the planning into line with other adjoining properties, so I'm happy to support this proposal. Thank you.
Councillor Sullivan. Any other councillor wishing to speak on the matter? If not, Councillor Story to close.
Nothing further, Mr Mayor.
We move. All those in favour? So that's carried unanimously. The next item is the financial performance report for the year to date ended 31st of March 2026. So Councillor Katos moves and Councillor Aitken second. Councillor Katos.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is a report that comes before us every 3 months and compares actuals to budget essentially. So this is up to the end of March this year for the 9 months and comparing it to budget. There is if you look at some of the figures, they're a bit skewed, particularly the operating deficit, largely by when we received the Commonwealth Assistance Grants. This time round we received them last financial year and they should have been this year. So last year looked a lot better, this year looks a lot worse. So unfortunately that's simply a timing issue, no reflection on any of the work done by Council or the officers. And probably the one I'll focus on here is the Capital Works budget, which did receive a bit of media attention over the weekend and yesterday. And I think we need to right-size our Capital Works budgets, because I'd love to have a $500 million Capital Works budget, but could our officers and staff achieve that and our contractors achieve it in 12 months without putting pressure on needing additional staff, without putting pressure on contract prices, supplier prices, materials? I don't think it would be possible. You would just put huge pressure on prices, and you only have to look at the state government and the pressure they've put on with their big bill projects. It's great to have infrastructure, but they've borrowed too much money and put enormous pressure on costs, which is affecting all of us in local government and everything. So if we were to run out there and do the same thing, chasing contractors to deliver what we could do in 4 years, in 3 years, or etc., you'd put enormous pressure on prices, and then that would be less value for the ratepayer. So, and plus you'd have to borrow more money, which we're in a position where we want to have our capacity, and that's one thing which I do like with this report, the indebtedness ratio. It continues to come down, so 46%. It was over 60% when we were elected 18 months ago, so which was our prudential limit. So now that's come down to 46% and continuing to fall, which is a good thing, because that's giving us capacity to build in the future, particularly with all the growth areas that we have. So that is a good thing there. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see the full year result, which we'll see soon. But yeah. With that, I'll commend this motion to the chamber.
Councillor Katos. Councillor Aitken.
Mr Mayor, the quarterly financial report shows how difficult it is for all tiers of government to actually manage the public's finances. When we adopted this budget, we were actually hoping for a $500,000 surplus. And then within days we were hit with an accounting issue where 50% of our federal government funding was actually paid towards last year's budget, last year's financial figures, which impacted us by $14.8 million. So we were already in deficit from day 2 of this financial year. But what's really interesting is We've clawed back about $500,000 of that because we're projected to have a deficit of about $13.8 million. But if you have a look at all the variations that have been occurring for the period of time since, there's been an immense amount of work being done to try to address the underlying deficit, but it's actually making no aggregate impact, which is really probably disheartening for everybody that's been involved in the process, because the bottom line is essentially we've only clawed back $500,000, and that must be really disheartening for the organisation and the administration, because they are trying really hard. I mean, like an underspend of $57 million in capital, you would have hoped would have had a bigger impact on the finances. Well, it has, but it's been consumed by expenditure increases in other areas, and it just reflects the significant challenge that not just local government has. We know the state government, we know the federal government, all tiers of government, and it probably reflects the household budgets as well too. Everyone is under immense stress at the present time. A lot of factors are outside of the control of individuals, and the Geelong budget and the Geelong financial figures lay that bare as well too tonight, Mr Mayor. I hope to give, I think as a leader, we've got to give resilience and persistence to the administration to try to address the issue that we are in deficit. We may even get a windfall, Mr Mayor, that the same thing happens again in June of this year if the federal government and the state government releases the grant money before the end of the financial year, and you may have the great honour of announcing a surplus budget. But at this point in time, everything indicates that it will be a deficit budget, and it will be a challenge going forward of how we actually continually try to right the financials and be financially sustainable at a local government level, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Aiken. Any other councillor wishing to speak on the matter? No, so Councillor Aiken, to close. Katos, sorry, Katos, you.
Nothing further, Mr Mayor.
All right, so we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. The next item is the provision of delivered meals. Can I have a mover of that, Councillor Cadwell? And Councillor Sinclair to second. Councillor Cadwell.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. This report confirms that we are seeking to award the contract for the provision of delivered meals to the preferred tenderer, which at this stage is confidential. Obviously, the City of Greater Geelong requires a contractor to supply the meals for our delivered meals service, and that contractor will be responsible for all aspects of the service, including menu planning, meal preparation, the production, packaging, labelling, packing, and importantly, the distribution of those meals. So we are seeking to award the contract to the preferred tenderer. We're approving the contract term for 2 years with the option to extend the contract for an additional term of 1 year. That's important because it gives us an opportunity to test the preferred tenderer for a period of 2 years, assuming that they will deliver. And if they don't, we have the opportunity to review at that point. The report authorises the CEO to execute the contract and to, once that is done, to release the name of the awarded parties following the execution of that contract. This is obviously really important for the people that are receiving these meals. The estimated cost of delivering these services is going to be managed within our existing budget, so no further budget allocation is needed. The procurement supports our social equity goals by ensuring that clients and customers receiving these meals receive nutritious meals at home, providing their health and independence. The provision of these meals supports really positive health and wellbeing outcomes for vulnerable community members, and importantly it needs to meet all relevant food safety, occupational health and safety, and of course regulatory requirements. We've undertaken an evaluation process and confirmed that the tenderer's capacity to meet the expectations of this service, including the reliable delivery of the meals, OH&S matters, food safety controls and operational capacity has been met. They're probably the key points. Nothing really further to add.
Thank you, Councillor Cadwell.
Thank you. I think Councillor Cadwell has done an excellent job of summarising the key points of the tender. Just to add, I guess this is about the most vulnerable members of our community. It is providing meals and ensuring people are fed and able to access nutrition as they age in place, but also helps with social isolation and ensuring that there is someone checking in, someone knocking the door, someone making sure that that person is still okay, observing signs of declining health, ensuring that person is keeping up with their meals. So it's not... It's absolutely providing the meals, which is incredibly important, but also that social contact and that point of intervention, which is so important as people age in place and are potentially becoming more isolated. So yeah, really, really happy to support the officer's recommendation, and noting once the Aged Care Advisory Committee is up and running, that these kind of services, the aged care services that are really loved within our community, will also be that committee will also be a place of oversight for these services, given how critical they are. Nothing further.
Councillor Sinclair, any other councillor wishing to speak on this matter? No. No, sorry, we could have a chat later if you want. So no one else wishing to speak, to Councillor Cadwell to close.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, I think importantly, Councillor Sinclair has really highlighted the community aspects, the social welfare aspects, which are incredibly important for this important service. So nothing further to add to that.
Thank you. So we're going to put that to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Next is the review of instrument of delegation, council to members of council staff. Can I have a move it? Councillor Nelson moves and Councillor Burson. Councillor Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is really a procedural report. It's to review and update council's instrument delegation to members of council staff. Local Government Act provides a delegation for powers, duties and functions under the Act and any other Act. The powers conferred on the council under some legislative instruments cannot be delegated through the CEO, and therefore must be delegated to other members of council staff, such as the power to declare a menacing dog, although that's definitely not a menacing dog, powers to issue infringement notices, etc. So I'll leave it at that, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Nelson. Councillor Burson.
Yeah, it's just procedural, as nothing further.
Anyone else wishing to speak on the matter? No. Councillor Nelson to close.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Essentially, it's a procedural motion that gives the CEO delegation to run other events, like she's doing on the weekend with myself, in the Big Freeze, which is a much needed, especially highly topical right now, considering what's happened in the last 30 hours or so. So I'll look forward to seeing you there, Madam CEO, on Sunday. Yes, you too.
So, for the vote, all those in favour? So that's carried unanimously. The next item is record of informal meetings of councillors. Councillor Nelson to move and Councillor Burson to second. Councillor Nelson.
Nothing to comment, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Burson, anything to comment? Anyone else wishing to comment? No. So we put that to the vote. All those in favour? So that's carried. Then if we can have someone move and second it, then that we move the next item into confidential regarding municipal waste landfill disposal. Councillor Katos and Councillor Sullivan to second. We put that to the vote. All those in favour? So move that into confidential. Now, we'll need to move someone that we move into confidential and close, yeah. So we'll now move into the confidential. aspect of the meeting, so we'll pause the meeting there. Do we need to have someone move, that we move into this? Take it to be? Okay. So we'll take it that we've moved to be in confidential. So we'll now close the meeting at 7 o'clock exactly. And I'd like to thank everyone who has attended in person and has stuck it out. Thank you. And all those who have participated virtually as well.